Hey everybody, Ryan FMG here, and before we talk about today's deck, please pet the little corgi in the bottom right of your screen. That is the sub button, and each and every sub means a lot to me. But that's enough about that, because there's a lot to talk about, because just a little bit ago, Teppen announced a version 2.8 regarding balance changes to their website, and this is going through all the cards. There's actually 13 cards that will be receiving a balance change in the next update. It didn't say, I believe, when this update will be, but I would assume, and it seems like other people are assuming this as well, that it will be probably like November 1st or at least after the Worlds qualifier. However, that's just an assumption, and sometimes if you assume something, you can get burned by it, but that's probably what it is. Yet again, this is my first thoughts about these changes, and so once these changes actually happen and people get to play with these cards, maybe my thoughts will completely change. But I always like to do this because it's a nice, brain exercise and get to talk about it and get the conversation going. The first card that we have is Cody. Before it was 3 MP for 3/3 with memory 4, deal 4 damage split among all enemy units. Now, the only change is rather than dealing 4 damage, it deals 3 damage split among all enemy units. Still memory 4, still all the same stats. I kind of like this change because Cody just being a 3 MP unit and only having memory 4 was super easy for a lot of red decks just to slot this in, because memory 4 is not that hard. Yes, it's not trivial, but it's not that hard for most red decks to achieve. And to deal 4 damage for a 3 MP play is quite above average on the curve. So I don't think Cody was anything too outrageous, but I like this nerf overall. Up next is another human red card. This was, MP3 for a 3/3. When placed on the field, if a friendly human unit an MP cost of 5 or more is on the field, deal 4 damage split among all enemy units. The only thing, yet again, that's changing is it's not 5 damage anymore, it's not 4 damage anymore, it is 3 damage. So kind of, Cody got brought down 1 damage, same with her, she's getting brought down 1 damage. Overall, I don't particularly love this nerf because yes, this is another 3 MP play like Cody. However, Cody, you could just slot that in most red decks because a lot of red decks can get that memory 4 a lot easier than her trigger of playing a MP of 5 or more human. So this has a little bit more hoops to jump with, and that's why I was kind of a little bit more okay with this being a little bit more powerful than most 3 drops. However, is it that hard for red decks to be playing MP cost 5 or more humans? No, it's not, but it does take a little bit more build around. So this one, I'm a little bit like, kind of makes this card a lot worse for sure, but still will probably see play, but overall don't like it as much as the Cody nerf. To no one's surprise, or probably very, very few people's surprise, is Valstrex is on the nerf block right now. Before, this was MP5 for a 2/5 with flight, rush, agility. A lot of things are getting nerfed here. It's now going to become an MP cost of 4, so that's actually 1 cheaper. However, that gets hit by Fate of the Unworthy now. So yes, it's cheaper, but dies to more removal and bounce spells also. The attack is the same of 2. The HP is now 3. So you nixed 2 HP off of it. That's a lot. The keywords, it missed 1. Flight and agility, so it has no rush. Overall, I think this card definitely deserves to be on the nerf block. This card just runs rampant. This card just kind of wins games in and of itself, and especially loves the pump spells. I like these nerfs. I am okay with making it 1 MP cheaper because yes, that makes it a little bit more powerful, but also it just dies to so much more. And making HP from 5 to 3 is humongous. This dies so easily now. You have to shield this up right away because most of, the red units will kill this like that. And then just kicking out the rush is just kind of nice. So overall, very, very happy with these nerfs because this dude has been flying around the meta for too long. Another red card that I thought was going to get nerfed quite a while ago because this has been around for quite some time since this is a Haunted by Memories card. But anywho, we're here now, so let's talk about it. It's Agent's Memory. Before, it was MP cost 2, deal 2 damage to an enemy hero or enemy unit. If you had Memory 7, it deals 7 damage to an enemy hero or enemy unit. What's changing is it still costs 2. It's still 2 damage face value. However, the memory cost is 4. So you're kicking it 3 memory cost out and just making it cost 4 memory. That has me scared. What are we talking about here? Doesn't do 7 damage anymore. It only does 5 damage. So it's a lot easier to make this memory cost achievable because memory 4 is pretty trivial and very easy for a lot of decks, especially red decks or any multicolor decks. You can still play Agent's Memory. And however, though, making it from 7 damage to 5 damage is a big difference. However, it's easier to achieve, and 5 damage is still a lot, especially Burn to the Face. How many times have you get burnt out by this card of you're at 7 life and they just Agent's Memory you and you just die? Because usually like sneak attacks and all those things are 2 or 3 damage. So 5 damage of Burn to the Face is still a lot, and it's way easier to get that in, you know, just a couple, 30 seconds to a minute of the game. You can have memory 4, deal 5 damage, and maybe overall that could be better. I still think this is definitely a nerf, but they are definitely trying to change this without nullifying it to the ground, and we'll see. I still think this card is very powerful, but hopefully it's not as powerful as it was before. Moving on to the green cards, first up is Feline. Before, this was MP3 for 1 attack, 5 HP. That was a beast monster with MP boost of 20, and then it would get shield if you had 3 or more tribes among friendly units that you control. What is changing is you're kicking out monster. This is just a beast. Feline, you're not a monster anymore, you're just a little beast. MP boost is still saying 20. However, the other change is it gets shield when you have 2 tribes among units you control. So my big thing is this kind of makes Feline more or less still a very good card. However, this really weakens the Trinity builds, like Trinity itself, and Nero. Basically, anything that cares about tribes, this Feline card was so important in those because it had 2 important tribes just for 1 card. So overall, I think this is a pretty good nerf because it kind of did feel a little like weird that the old Feline, I believe, was just a beast, and now the new Feline was beast and monster, so it kind of felt a little bit weird, and that just having 2 tribes when tribe-centric things are a focus now in Teppen seems very, very powerful. So I like this change. It's still going to be a good card, but Trinity stuff is going to be taking a step down. Up next is the big bad shield aggro monster. Well, maybe not so aggro, but before this was MP of 8 with 2 attack and 10 HP with spillover with the clause of after taking damage and surviving, it gains +1 attack and shield. This card is a nightmare, right, to deal with. What is changing is MP is still 8, attack is still 2, however, it has 8 HP rather than 10 HP, so they took 2 HP away. It still has spillover, and it still has the same clause of taking damage. So I do think this change is good, right? Because this card is a little bit, it is very, very hard to deal with. To be fair, it is an 8 cost card that, you know, your opponent has to really build their deck around and synergize with this, but this 2 attack 10 HP that just, racks up these shields and attack just over and over and over, it's not the most fun card to play against for sure, right? It can be really fun to play with. So I like this change, right? Just cutting out 2 HP will definitely make it weaker, but it is still getting shield and plus attack, so this card will still probably see play because it is still really good. The Rainy Boy is up next. Before, this was an MP of 4 for 1 attack, 10 HP with Ascend, +3 attack and gain spillover. The only thing that is changing is you're kicking out 3 HP and making the HP 7. This to me is a big change because this is an MP cost 4 card that sees a lot of play in like Trinity decks and Yon Li decks and the like because it's 4 MP and you ascend over, you have a 4/10 body with spillover. Well, now when you ascend over, you have a 4/7 body with spillover, which, don't get me wrong, is still a big, big unit on the board. However, it dies straight up to Hadoken, or it dies to burn spells a lot easier, and dies to trades a lot easier. 3 HP is a big difference, especially on a low-cost unit. So I think this is a big hit to Rainy, and we're already kind of seeing some nerfs to the whole Yon Li Trinity package, and I'm wondering if just all these little nerfs here or there will really make a big impact overall. Unbreakable Bond is up next. Before, this was 5 MP, copy a friendly green unit and place it onto the field. The only change now is that it is 7 MP. I like this change. I think this card is very good because most of the times you are playing this with other broken green cards, or in a multicolor deck even with just green units, and now this is MP7, so you cannot play in a multicolor deck, as well as, well, yeah, if you really want to get that really good friendly green unit and get another one, it's going to cost you more. So overall, I like this change. It is still, your opponent can kill your unit with this on the stack or something like that, but overall, I like this change. Moving on to purple, Trish is up next. She's been in the game since Day of Nightmare, so she is finally getting a change, which, she may or may not deserve, but there is a lot of Trish decks out there that are very, very powerful. So before, this was MP cost of 4 for a 1/6 unit with Resonate of +1/+1. Now it's going to be a 4 MP cost unit with attack 1, HP 6, so that is -2 HP. Plus the Resonate is if this unit's attack is 3 or lower, gain +1/+1. So really, if you're not doing pump spells or anything like that with Trish, you can get 2 Resonate triggers, because with 2 Resonate triggers, she would become a 3/6. I think this is a humongous nerf. Right off the bat, just making her a 1/4 compared to a 1/6 makes her so much more vulnerable to, you play it and they can quickly play a BB Hood right off the bat and just kill your Trish straight up or something like that. So it makes her more vulnerable. But really just having the Resonate be Resonate 2. It's kind of an interesting clause because, to my knowledge, they haven't really done this, maybe here or there, but this is almost just Resonate 2 times, and then she just becomes, a normal purple 4 cost unit. And really, yes, a 4 MP unit that is a 3/6 is a pretty good body, but nothing ridiculously well, so I do not see playing Trish once the nerfs roll around. Sea Viper, another Resonate unit that is usually paired very well with Trish these days, is on the nerfing block. Before, she was an MP cost of 4 for a 2/4 with Resonate, gain +2 HP and gain combo effective for 1 attack. So she just racked up all the HP that she could. What's changing is she's still a 4 MP unit, still to attack. However, she's gaining 6 HP. So you're getting +2 HP. So really, it's almost like you play her and you already, before did 1 Resonate trigger. So that's a buff. Wait, does Sea Viper need a buff? Hold on. This is where things are ooh, this is a yikes. When played, it gains combo effective for 1 attack. So it does not have Resonate. So that means it is basically a 4 MP cost unit for a 2/6 with combo once. And then it loses combo. No Resonate, no nothing. This makes me super off Sea Viper, kind of like Trish. The Sea Viper Trish days of just going crazy and getting all the HP and pump spells and all that, they're out the window, at least for this build, right? Big res can still be a thing, but right now this 4 MP cost res, it is off the windows because both of those 2 nerfs to these 2 cards are very, very detrimental to that deck. Moving to black, first up is none other than the Demon Dog. Before, this was a 3 cost unit that was a 2/5 with Ascend, gain +1 attack, and Revenge, +2/+4. This was so good, or is so good in, Zombie Rush, Raging Demon, all that. What is changing is it's still 3 cost, it still has 2 attack. However, it only has 4 HP base value, so you are knocking down 1 HP, which does make it significantly weaker. With Revenge, it only now gets +1/+2, so not +2/+4, so that is literally half of the value. It still has Revenge, Revenge is still really good, but half the stats. Ascend, it gets +1/+2. That's 2 extra HP. Before, it would only get the +1 attack, not the +2 HP. So overall, this is kind of evening out a lot of its stats before, rather than just making Revenge super good and just getting +1 attack with the Ascend. You're kind of evening out the stats, but making it a little bit more fragile base value of just the 4 HP compared to the 5 HP. But let's be fair, more times than not, you are not playing the Demon Dog without ascending it. However, sometimes you have to, right? Sometimes you do have to. So this just seems like a fine, even out nerf, and I don't really think it will be a detriment to this card or make this card see more play evening out the stats. Conspiratory Speech is up next. This is a 1 cost action, which is super cheap. It says give a unit death, sacrifice 2 life if you have memory 2, which is super easy for any deck in Teppen to achieve. It sacrifice 4 life instead. What's changing? It's still 1 cost, so it's still super cheap. Sacrifice 1 life. Memory 2, so still super easy to get. Sacrifice 2 life. So literally they nerfed half the damage. I think this card is now just bad, right? Sacrificing 1 life is pretty Yes, you could win by 1 life in Teppen and stuff like that, but do you really want to spend a card slot at that 1 MP, a whole action, give your opponent 2 free MP to play with, just to make them sacrifice 2 life? Or 1 life? Or 2 life? No, I don't think you do. Besides, if you're playing a black deck that really, really cares about memory and you're using this basically almost as just to like get your memory count up and just kind of like play a card to draw another card, just kind of cantrip through your deck. If you want to do that, then sure, you play Speech. If not, making your opponent sacrifice 1 or 2 life it's not impactful enough. I'm super off this card. Blackground's Madness is up next. Before, it was MP cost of 1, sacrifice 3 life, remove 3 cards from your deck from the game. You gain plus 2 MP. Really, really good card, and it's shown that is a very, very good card ever since it came out in ATH. Now, how is it getting changed? It's still 1 cost. Okay, sacrifice 6 life. So double the life. Whew, that's a lot. Remove 5 cards from your deck from the game. So not double, but 2 more. That's a lot because you only have 30 cards in your deck in Teppen. Okay, what do you get for all that? You gain 1 MP. Not going to lie, when I first read this just a couple minutes ago, I kind of laughed out loud a little bit. I was like, whoa! They were like, we basically want to ban Blackground's Madness. This card's way too good. We want to ban it. Let's just nerf it to the ground instead, because this card is, I'm going to say it, and usually I don't say these words, trash, right? I think this card just won't see play. Yes, maybe I'll eat my words, but I do not think this card is good, right? You're sacrificing 6 life. That is a lot of life right off the bat. Removing 5 cards is a lot just to gain 1 MP. Basically, if you don't do this in active response phase, you just nut the MP, which I guess if you really, really, really want just to get your memory count higher or like resonate triggers, but a lot of the resonate units that can be in dual color decks are being nerfed heavily as well. I just do not see this card being played, and it's like they did not try to finesse this in my opinion of like, oh, let's try to make this like less broken but still good. It's just like, no, we're done with you, Blackground Madness. Get out of here, but we can't say get out of here, so we're just going to make it miserable for people to play you. Bloodbath Frenzy is up next. This card has seen tons of play and can just be a win con in it of itself. Before, it was a 3 cost action. Sacrifice 2 life, give a friendly unit +1/+2. Memory of 2, give that unit additional +1/+1 and spillover. Memory 4, additionally that unit performs an instant attack. This just had everything. It had stats, it had spillover, it had instant attack, all for the cost of 3 MP, 2 life, and sure, some memory, but Memory 2, Memory 4, not that high of thresholds. What's it changing to? MP cost of 3, still, so they're not making it expensive or anything like that. Sacrificing 2 life, so same thing right there. Give a friendly unit +1/+3 and spillover, which is like, wait, are we buffing this card? To be fair, that's kind of combining your base level and Memory 2 before. However, that would be, what is it, +2/+3 in spillover, where this is just +1/+3 in spillover, so you're kind of nixing out 1 attack. Okay, where's the instant attack? Memory 10, additionally that unit performs an instant attack. Memory 10 is very hard to get. Yes, some decks definitely can in the late game, right? That is not an early game, that is not early mid game, that is a late game. Even for decks with a lot of actions, Memory 10 is a lot. So they do not really want you to instant attack. MP cost of 3, sacrifice 2 life, give a friendly unit +1/+3 and spillover is still pretty good. However, a lot of decks that want to be pumping up their units with actions, especially in black or multicolor decks, would rather have more attack than more HP. And you really played this for the instant attack clause. And now that, one, a lot of cards from this type of deck are getting nerfed in this package, and have it be Memory 10 to get that instant attack, I do not see playing much Frenzy in the future. The last card that we need to talk about is Betrayal. Not going to lie, I'm very surprised that this card is on the list, because I was like, I think this card is fine. I don't think it's busted. I don't think it's too weak. It just seems fine. Before, MP cost 6. Destroy an enemy unit with MP cost of 6 or less. Okay, and then you send all copies of that unit card in your opponent's deck to their graveyard. Okay, cool. What are we changing about this? MP costs, same. It's still 6. It still has the destroy an enemy unit with an MP cost of 6 or less. Okay, where's the change? After that, remove all copies of the destroy card from your opponent's deck and graveyard. That is humongous. That's a humongous clause because Ouroboros, like if you killed my tyrant, well, now I just have more tyrants in my graveyard that I could just Ouroboros back or rebirth or whatever. But now you're basically banishing them to the nether realm for the rest of the game. And that is a big deal. However, it's still just 6 costs. Doesn't get Orochi or Devil, stuff like that. But this is definitely a buff overall, it seems. And I don't know, I'm kind of a little scared of buffing Black's removal since Black has a ton of really good removal like Murder Spikes, Fate of the Unworthy, but maybe this is okay because maybe it kind of keeps in check some of the really like broken stuff. However, I think this is a very, very big buff that can't be underplayed. After looking at all the cards that are getting a balance change soon, I'm happy overall, right? There's 13 cards that are getting changed. One seems to be a buff, which I'm a little unsure about, and the rest are nerfs. Some of the nerfs I like. Some I think are like, yes, this card was too powerful, you are nerfing it, seems good. Some of the how they nerfed it was like, oh, this seems like a good balance of, you know, try and make something that was too powerful, still good and playable, but not going overboard. However, some were just like, you know what, we're done with this. I'm looking at you, Black Crowns Madness, get out of here. And I don't love when that happens, but hey, maybe it's just time for some cards to more or less get banned and not see play, so nerf it to the ground. But it always feels a little like maybe you could change it some other way. And especially some of these nerfs, I will give them credit, seem good. I do like some of the changes. It's just a mixed bag, which to be fair, most balance updates are a mixed bag of like, I like this, I don't love this. This may or may not affect the meta at all, who knows? So right now, it's kind of average. I like some things, I dislike some things. However, I will say, looking at all these cards, there's a lot of Haunted by Memories, or Adventures of a Tiny Hero, or the Force Seekers, Day of Nightmares. There's no cards from the new set at all. And that is a little suspect to me. Because supposedly they're looking at, you know, the data and stuff, and I think that they are looking at the data since a lot of these cards are kind of problems in the meta and should be changed. However, yes, the new cards have not been out that long, but some are kind of problematic, like Orochi. I'm very surprised that Orochi is not on the list. Yes, I get it that you always need to be kind of delicate with your changing new cards because people are just opening up them in packs. They are just getting to play with them, and maybe they're not as broken as they seem in the first couple of weeks. But I do think that sometimes there are just, no, this card needs to be nerfed a little bit. Not crazy amount maybe, but a little bit. So I'm a little less than happy with that there's no brand new cards. To be fair, I don't want them to be 12 brand new cards that we've only been playing for a week or two, but like at least a Orochi or something like that. But overall, is what it is. Hopefully this makes the meta a little bit better and, you know, that you can do more things in the meta. And hopefully sooner rather than later, maybe in a month or so, we get a couple more nerfs, or sorry, not nerfs, buffs the next time around, kind of like what we did over the summer, right? There were some nerfs and then there were some buffs, and I do like that. So, you know, we'll wait around, we'll see, but thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time.